Hey everyone, my name is Isaiah. I work at the Student Diversity Inclusion Office as a peer mentor and aid in educational development. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm a double major in television and cultural studies.
Hi y'all, I'm Mikey. I am an office assistant at SDI, and I am the chair of the Trans Student Union. My pronouns are they, them.
Hello, I'm Yanni. I am a screenwriting BFA student and student worker at SDI. I also organize the movie screenings that we host at SDI. And my pronouns are they, them, or she, her, if you're lesbian only.
Okay, so we're here today to share our thoughts, ideas, and opinions on various topics as in the name of Desktop Discourse that we feel insightful and important to us. By having a meaningful dialogue, it's crucial for us to understand each other and to make sure that the world is a little bit more inclusive every step of the way. So welcome to Desktop Discourse.
Yeah, so I'll talk about this prompt. I wanted to focus on sort of like getting back into school. I know like August and September for a lot of people feels like the start of a new year because we've like had this kind of school-based calendar and body clock, I would say. And I wanted to talk about beginnings, endings, what our goals are for the upcoming year, or what goals we had when we first entered college, or any like big changes like that, and how like these past couple of years have shaped us. Like, I really don't want to like make things sad, but I feel like just like a little like self-reflection and introspection about like what we wanted out of this experience, or what goals that we had as freshmen and how that may have changed, or how we accomplished them might like kind of what's the word I'm looking for, inform our goals for this upcoming year and after graduation, or after, you know, whatever big transitional thing that we're doing next.
Right. We're all seniors here, right? Yeah.
Technically. But yeah, so I'll start by asking you to what were your, how did you imagine yourself as like a senior, or if you imagined like your last year of college, or the type of person you would be, what would that person be? Who would that person be? And if you would recognize yourself. I don't know, is that crazy?
I think that's a really interesting question. I have now changed my major twice. So I think the way that I expected moving to an entirely new place, because I'm not from Chicago originally, I was like not really setting a lot of expectations for like where I would be in 4 years. When I was little, I did a lot of like planning and like, I will be this when I am this age. But as I got older, I started like opening up more to like various possibilities of like, oh, well, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to go to vet school, maybe I'll go to art school. Mm-hmm. And from there, everything else just started to open up, and I didn't really know what to expect for myself. So I think that I have changed really, really significantly since I was really young, in terms of like how many expectations I set for myself. So I think the older I get, the less I have like a set vision for what I will be. especially after graduating school. Anyone else want to share?
For me, I would say that I probably would recognize myself if I was like in a time machine and like 18-year-old Isaiah saw me now. But I think a younger version of myself would be surprised that I got to where I am so quickly. Because for a lot of my life, it's been very reserved in terms of like my gender identity, my sexuality, and things like that, and like my being vocal in more of a sense, like personally. I've always been vocal in a professional setting, protest marches, all that kind of stuff, as you guys probably already know. So like kind of like fighting the establishment is kind of like where I've had my voice for a long time, but personally I've never really had that kind of same confidence or same motivation to like really stand up for myself, and to get there within 3 years. Well, maybe not even get there because it's always a journey, but like to be as far along as I am on that journey, I think would be very eye-opening to a younger version of myself, because a younger version of myself always knew that I was different about like who I loved and who I liked, and about like being non-binary and that kind of stuff. But I didn't know how to really express that when I was younger, or the support I would have in that kind of environment from where I'm from. So being able to move to Chicago and kind of like reveal that part of me is something I didn't think would necessarily happen so soon, at least.
Yes. I was gonna say that like I feel like because I did not enjoy particularly the last couple years of high school so much, like I put all this energy into like how happy I would feel going to film school, and like how like exciting it would be to be surrounded by people who like care about the stuff that I cared about, and not having to like study in a conventional way or study a conventional major and like do a traditional job. And I actually, I love film school. I just like felt though when I got here that I was like not supposed to be confident or good about any of the stuff that I made, because there were so many people who had been doing like film stuff like way before me and way longer than I had. And even though like I had like this knowledge that other students didn't have, it just felt like because they had like the physical knowledge of like holding a camera and like making films on their own without any help, like that I was behind. But I like really wanted to like, I feel like I naturally gained the confidence that I have now just from like getting positive feedback from people and like working with others who like cared about the things that I cared about. And I think that was like something that I always wanted when I started film school, to like have the pride in my work that I have now, which is pretty exciting. I think I would recognize myself, but it might take a while with my new bleached eyebrows. But I think I'm pretty much like, I don't think I haven't changed since I started college or since I like went away, but it feels like I've just like opened up back to how I was opened up before I started high school, and like, all this stuff was packed on, and like there was all this, drama and emotional stuff that I didn't have the tools to deal with because I wasn't like engaging in art like on a regular basis, I would say.
I kind of had a similar thing when I came here, because I didn't decide to get into like media and like TV and stuff like that until my the end of my senior year of high school, because like I was for a long time I wanted to be like a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, and that's like the career path I was on. I was studying a lot of stuff, I was doing all that kind of work and stuff, and also like activism, but that's something different. I don't look at that as a career. That's something I want to do like forever. but like even then, I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do besides that, and I didn't feel like psychology is what I wanted to do like for a living. I felt like I was conforming to something I had to conform to because everyone wants a conventional job or something like that. And I was like, I don't want to do that shit. That's not really. Oh, I don't know if you can curse on here. But I was like, I don't want to really do that. But then they had this one program at my school, this one class. It wasn't really funded well. Like we didn't have cameras to really hand out. We barely had software that was good enough to do. I mean, like I remember writing scripts on a Word document and like having to like physically indent and space it and format it like without any kind of like software. That shit was fucking terrible. Oh my god, let me stop. But it wasn't good. So but then coming to college, I'd people been doing TV and like film and like media and all that stuff their whole life, working with cameras, working with script, working with producers and directors their entire lives, and I was just so new to it, and I didn't have that much confidence in my technical ability to do a lot of things. So in that, I just leaned on my more human connection and like being able to connect with people in that kind of way, which is what I did. So like whenever I was directing or producing something, I would just always make sure that everyone around me was feeling good, they weren't stressed out, and I would make sure to keep like a level head so that no one would get like anxious or too stressed out around me. Because everyone was already like that, because that's just the nature of the work we do. But I wanted to be that calming presence in the room while we did that. So I kind of like leaned on that a lot of the times as I kind of refined my technical knowledge and like understanding of how things work, systems and software and whatever. So I did feel like that too, Yanni.
This wasn't a part of kind of like the questions I was going to ask, but I noticed that like both of you talked about how being in Chicago itself kind of changed the way you were, like starting in a new place changed. And I wonder if there's like an inherent kind of energy in Chicago that does that, or if it's the part of our lives that's like making us feel that way. I feel like I'm not making any sense, but you know, okay, like I feel like it's different because I came from a bigger city and I came to Chicago, so like it felt like because it was still a city but it was way smaller that I was like learning so much, and still it felt kind of quaint and homey and cozy, and that made me feel like the comfort that I do to like go out and do new things that I never did before in New York, because like, you know, I just didn't have like the resources to like go out to shows and see art shows and stuff like that because of how far I lived from the city. So wondering if you guys maybe have similar experiences.
Mikey, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I came from like a farm town basically in Massachusetts, and I didn't come to Chicago until Columbia orientation. I was just kind of like, oh, Chicago's not New York. I've never been there before, but like, I guess I'll live there for 4 years. Why not? I don't know. I think that there is some very interesting energy in Chicago that like I could tell that it was a place where I really wanted to be from like the first minute that I like left the airport. It just felt so like, I don't know, I guess quaint and homey for like a city is definitely something that I would agree with. But I also think that since I've lived here, I've encountered so many resources that I never had access to before. So in a way, it's like very small but very big at the same time, like expansive, not just big. Yeah, so very specific energy to me. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I had a similar feeling with it. I mean, I didn't come to Chicago until orientation when I applied here, and 'cause I'm from New Jersey, so I was close. So I was lived in New Jersey, and in the community I grew up in was predominantly folks from the Caribbean and like from Africa. So it was a very immigrant heavy community, very black and brown kind of thing where I grew up at. And I would always go to New York to visit my grandma and my cousins because they lived in Queens. So I'd always like take the train there and stuff like that all the time and spend most summers there. And so I kind of, ideally, I wanted to go to school in New York at first. But once that wasn't necessarily going to happen, I decided I wanted to figure out where was I going to be able to learn what I wanted to learn at the pace I wanted to, because I wanted to go to another city. I didn't want to go to like some southern HBCU or something like that. I wanted to go to a city school. So then I ended up looking at Chicago and coming to Chicago. And at first I thought I would only be here just for college and like just leave immediately after. But now as I'm entering my fourth year and based off of the things I've done, the projects I've worked on, the people I've met, I feel like I can see myself staying here a little bit longer. And I think it's really interesting to be at this point in our lives, to be like in our early 20s and to like begin exploring the city and like being able to actually do stuff in the city and like where we are, because it's like there's no curfew, there's no one like looking over my shoulder. Even though my parents weren't really that strict about that kind of stuff, but it's just a different kind of energy. Even when you go back home now, it's still like they're trying to keep you in a house. And it's like, well, I'm older now. I don't even do that when I'm in Chicago. But like, so I think it is pretty interesting coming to Chicago, and it's been very homey and cozy because I feel like it has a lot of the resources that New York has, just with less people. So a lot of it is more accessible and much more easy to identify as well. And it's been great for me. I like it a lot. It's been really nice. And at this point in my life, I feel like everything's just happening so quickly and so slowly at the same time. Because like moving into an apartment is like a really fast process. Like you think about it for a while, but once you start doing it, it's just really starts coming at you really heavy. Graduation coming really fast and stuff like that. I mean, like after school, it's like you have to work to live even more. Like now, it's like you could probably take out a loan or something and like maybe help you like that or live on campus if you did do that. But things just happen really quickly. So I think it's nice to be able to grow up in Chicago a little bit. I feel like this is a part of me growing up, is being here in Chicago.
I agree. Very brilliant from the both of you. I also am like, I feel like I'm so ready to graduate, but like I'm scared because I've spent the majority of my life in school and I don't know what structure is like when I don't wake up to go to class every day, or I don't have like a break during this time. I don't like look forward to, like when you're in school, you're like, oh, well, there's gonna be Christmas break and it's coming and just at this time. Like I have like a reprieve for this set amount of time, and then I can go back to being normal, and then the new year can start. Like I just don't know how I'm gonna like process that different structure like as an adult, especially with like ever since like quarantine. It feels like there were just no months. It was just like a long span of time from March, and like it just feels so like immeasurable, like the amount of time that has been passing now. I know that wasn't a question, but we can just talk about like that structure, because I like live off that structure, like,
Me too. I've structured my life like just around all of the different things that I've done or didn't do, because I've always just been busy. I've always been in a club, an organization, had more than one job, being in school. Like it's just always been some kind of structure and that kind of thing. And school was the foundation in which it was like built around. Because like I'm not getting another job unless I can figure out how to listen to my school schedule. I'm not joining or running a club until it goes into my school schedule. But now it's like we're entering a part where, I mean, I'm still considering going to grad school, but even then that's kind of different because I wouldn't be on campus. I'd most likely commute, and being that we're in a pandemic, I'd probably be online if I decide to do that. But even then, the structure of like being in college, being in high school, elementary school, middle school, isn't going to be there anymore. So it's gonna be weird because like I'm someone who needs that kind of structure, because if I don't have that structure in my life to feel like I'm being productive in my own way, I get depressed because of that. Like if I'm not doing something, if I'm not feel like I'm contributing to either myself or the world around me or whatever it is, it'll take a toll on me. So it's gonna be interesting to like get out of college and then have to adjust to the real world and like having to like either just go to work and just like focus on your career stuff or do nothing. It's like that's it, kind of. Or obviously like your friends and family and stuff like that, but there's no school, there's no assignments, dude. There's nothing, because I've had these jobs and they've all been very lax and lenient, and like you start them and you're like, oh, this is gonna be like some really like, they're gonna challenge me to be better, they're gonna challenge me to do this, and then you get there and it's just like people don't care about anything and they act like they're in high school still, and I'm like, people don't really grow up, do they? They just get older with age and they stay exactly the same. I mean, there's people back home that's exactly the same as when they were 12 as they are when they're 21. And I think that's happened with a lot of people in the world. Like, they don't really change. They just stay the same. And if you don't have a fire or a drive to change the world or to produce meaningful content or to do anything like that, you kind of just stay in that rut and just go along with the system and just like fill in that role and just work until you die. So it's interesting to see that the world doesn't really change when you get older. People just get into positions and you're like, well, I'm smarter than you, but you're in a higher position. So I guess this is what I have to work with for now.
I am very scared about the drop-off point between graduation and career path, because like I think because of the way that the world is shaped right now with like the pandemic going on and everything, it is gonna be a wild mess to try and find a new job, especially one that is like meaningful to me, because like I love my job at SDI right now, and like I feel like I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with like a service job or anything like that, but I have like such a pressure on myself, and it's kind of been applied like throughout my life that like I need to be doing something that is meaningful to like drive me in a direction. So I guess conceptually, I am very scared of like this transitional period and like what that's going to look like. But like overall, I know everything will be okay, because that's just the kind of outlook that I usually try to take on things, because usually if I apply that, everything will be okay eventually. Even though the world is on fire right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared about that kind of thing too. I've been thinking about after college since before I came to college. So like I was graduating high school and I was like, what am I gonna do after college? Like, what does life gonna look like there then? Which is why I wanted to move off campus now, because I feel like I didn't want to have the pressure of like moving onto like adulthood. I guess more so adulthood. I don't really know what that means, but like moving on to like after school along with moving out of school. So like I didn't want to have to worry about finding housing while I'm graduating, while finding a job to get into like a entry level career job. So I wanted to like separate those three as best as I could. So physically I was able to do that this year. And I was able and lucky enough to get an internship this summer to like work with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and then also with that, also work at a radio station and like help like direct the shows. Like there's nothing crazy, but like I get to just like direct the shows and like post it on social media and stuff like that. So like getting that experience even in the midst of the pandemic and everything has been really I've been really fortunate to do that and have them reach out to me and to like do all that kind of stuff and it's do work like on with SDI and like use that as like leverage kind of like as a resume builder and then work with the Student Organization Council this upcoming semester, kind of like finishing up my last year as like being the president of that office or whatever. Just to like, I think that eases my mind to like transition into the world, like just being as productive and active as I can be, while also just being grateful for what I've accomplished and not really the key to it is like for me is that not comparing it to anyone else's path or success or anything. It's just like using what I have with my experience and putting that into the world and knowing that that's going to be enough to get what I want. And then I go from there. But that's kind of always the mindset I always have too, like being optimistic and like knowing that what I've done is enough and I'll continue to do enough.
I agree. I feel like the main thing that like kept me through even high school into college is like knowing in my heart that like I really, really want to like tell stories and like be someone who creates the kind of like media that inspires me and like inspire other people. And it's like the most right thing that I've ever done in my life of all the like hobbies and sports I've played and like things that I read about. Like I just like don't feel like there's anything else for me, and maybe that's because like I made it that way, but also it's like making it that way made me feel kind of more confident in doing the stuff that I want to do when I grow up. And I just like felt like I was getting to that point this past year where I was like, I really know what I'm gonna do when I leave. Like I'm gonna program films, I'm gonna like work at festivals, like I want to do this stuff. Like seriously, it's just like all this stuff happened and it like made me feel like all this stuff I was building in that long period of time just like fell down like Jenga, in like less time that I could ever. It took less time to take it apart than to put it back together, And so, not that I want to dwell on like sad stuff right now. I still feel like I can do that stuff. It's just like this time of year is making me feel like, okay, let's get back into that routine that you had before. Like, let's believe in yourself again. Let's, take this seriously. But yeah. I think I could like ask the last question. We can like close it out after, if that's okay. Yeah. I was just curious about if you guys had set any goals for senior year, or it doesn't even have to be for like all of senior year, maybe the first semester, maybe the first week of class, or even something upon graduation, something that you want to accomplish. That's it.
I really don't know what's going to happen after I graduate.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And I used to be really stressed out about that, but now I'm just like, it's like whatever. I'm just like, whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and that's just what it's going to be. I just don't know what it's going to be yet. I feel as if I put myself in a decent position to be successful outside of school and outside of college. So I feel really prepared in that sense. I just don't know what exactly that will look like. So for like goals and stuff, it's kind of just like working on the things I've been working on the past 4 years. I don't want to reinvent anything. I don't want to change anything now. I feel like I've been really successful the past few years, and I don't want to do a 180 on anything right now and change anything up. I want to be able to stay in my groove that I'm in right now until I'm challenged internally or externally to change the way I've been going. So I'll just continue along my path of like working at this internship, finishing off my work with SDI and SOC and stuff like that. Probably around February, I'll try and get more, like looking into more career stuff. But I was able to even connect with the local producer, like a film producer and theater director, and like this guy that does a lot of like producing in general. I've been able to connect with him over the summer, and he might have some work for me very soon. So just looking at that, but I mean, like in the industry that I'm in, the work is never really guaranteed. So it's not like I'll always have some kind of stable thing within TV for probably the next couple of years. So probably like rooting myself in like some kind of community center or like some kind of clinic or something like that to work with like LGBTQ folks or Black and Brown folks, marginalized people, and like that kind of support system, that kind of sphere. That's probably where I'm going to be at in terms of like working to like, I guess, make money and stuff like that. But also that's what I want to do anyway. So I'll probably be doing that. Like that's a goal I want to have, like work in a clinic or something like that, or a community center. And then while I'm doing that, work on various projects of like writing and producing and directing and whatever that may look like. I may not even be paid for the first couple of times, but just kind of like being just working on my own path and like not really focused on anyone else's and just like staying my own course and trying to limit the stress that life always has given me and have always kind of like put me into like a hole. Kind of just like working out of that and just being who I am and just existing and just doing what I can do right now and just taking it one day at a time. That's kind of like my goal in the summary.
Okay, well, oh God, Isaiah, you're brilliant. I love listening to you talk, first of all. Yeah, you too, Yanni. Honestly, I just listening and trying to follow up after Isaiah's. Yeah. Oh God, I am constantly my short-term goal is always to do the next right thing. That being said, aside from that, when I switched out of the music program into the public relations program at Columbia, for reasons that are too long to explain in this episode, I set a goal for myself to write and record an album and like keep myself accountable for my music, because that is still ultimately like one of the most important things to me. And like, just because it's not what I'm studying doesn't mean that it can't be like what I do. And I really wanted to keep public relations as part of what drives that and like part of what contributes to like my musical outreach, I guess. So I set a goal for myself to write and record an album. Little plug, that album is coming out on October 13th. So that my goal is to make that all happen by the time that I have set my release date for it. And then hopefully I will be able to do some either online or in-person shows to both promote and just like start interacting with people around that, because I miss the music scene so much, especially in Chicago, because the Chicago music scene is so beautiful, and like, I don't know, all of the people that I've met through it are so wonderful. But I'm like looking off into the distance at my guitar as I'm talking about this. Yeah, so music is my goal. Music is what I love doing. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Nice. I can't wait. I can't wait for the gigs. Digital or you know, personal. Personal? Is the personal digital? Who knows? Next time on Desktop Discourse. But I really want to like collaborate with people more. Like I feel like I took this class where I had to work with producers and we worked on a script together, and I got paired with like one really great producer, and then I got paired with two really kind of lazy potato producers. But the experience that I had with like the really great one, she speaks about me to other people, like, and I literally got to work on another script with like a grad student because she told her that I was good. Like, so I really just want to have like more of those connections because I feel really confident about my writing, and I want to like just move more into like directing, knowing that people like know what I'm capable of. I really want to like work with kids too. Like I've been wanting to do like a film camp thing for so long, but like I haven't found the right gig. So that's kind of like a goal, like just for the, if I find one, I want to do it. Like especially if it's paid, because I'm not going to work with children for free. But I also want to do more stuff with my hands because I really love collaging, and my printmaking class like really made me feel like confident in doing like crafts, even though like I usually like hate that stuff because I'm always like it's gonna come out wrong or I'm gonna like do it wrong. So I want to do like some like screen printing and make t-shirts and bags, and I want to like try to make posters and just do like multimedia like art stuff, because that's like the type of art that I enjoy seeing, and I haven't been to a museum in so long, and I just miss being in like artful spaces like museums and indie theaters with people who like care about it and are like quiet and respectful, but also like, you know, like say stuff if they need to, you know. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I like achieve my moving goal and my girlfriend living with me goal, so it's like all personal internal growth stuff now, I guess. Boo.
That's the best to get to. Because once the outside stuff starts to like dictate how you feel and like your goals, it just, if to me, it slows me down.
Yeah.
It just makes everything feel heavier.
Yeah.
But once you're able to get past that, it's just like, now I'm just focused on what I have to focus on. Because I have the support system around me, I have the physical presence around me. It just feels good. And that's where I am now. I don't have sadness holding me back as of 2 weeks. Hopefully it stays like that. But I feel good.
Okay. So how do we usually close these guys out? I don't know what to say. Thanks.
Are we supposed to say something motivational to the crowd? The audience?
Do we say thank you?
Whoever watches this, I don't know who will watch it. If you're watching it, we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. We appreciate it.
I don't know. I mean, I guess thanks everyone for coming. If you've enjoyed this, please let us know what you liked about it, what you think we can improve on, what you'd like we talked about. If you have any additional topics that we can like probably use for future episodes, just let us know. We'll take those into consideration to like talk about. And just, you know, tune into our next one. We're going to have a whole slate of them for the next 2 semesters. Any closing remarks from Yanni, Mikey? Thanks for hosting, Yanni.
Be nice and love each other and don't take shit from anyone.
Unpack.